Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. The conference hall soared, a cathedral of crystal, its walls shimmering with gentle light, patterns designed to foster understanding. Around the circular table sat envoys from 27 worlds, their placements dictated by a hierarchy still mysterious to humanity. The air thrummed with customized atmospheres, pockets of alien gases, and temperatures coexisting. Captain Rebecca Thompson, ramrod straight in her immaculate uniform, occupied humanity's designated spot, strategically located, she noted, near waste disposal and the emergency exit. Ambassador Keith's voice, a monotonous drone, filled the hall as he outlined humanity's role in galactic affairs. Ketho, the hegemony's imposing representative, towered over her, his chitinous shell gleaming. His four arms gestured expansively, his multifaceted eyes fixed on her with what felt like condescending amusement. "Honored delegates," Ketho's voice, amplified by his chest cavity, boomed in patronizingly perfect English. Humans possess intriguing qualities, yet their fierce, often unpredictable emotions render them unfit for the trials of galactic defense. Rebecca remained impassive. Brain scans reveal heightened activity in their limbic systems during stressful events, he continued, projecting a holographic image of a human brain aflame with neural activity. Note the intense electrical surges. This is hardly the calm, rational mindset required of our military. A wave of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Zephian delegate, resembling a thinking jellyfish, throbbed in accord. The Corfax ambassador clicked his mandibles, a sign of deep consideration. Furthermore, Ketho continued, warming to his theme, humans exhibit alarming tendencies toward what they term berserker rage and going postal. These aren't mere figures of speech, colleagues. They are documented psychological breakdowns where humans become utterly unstable and destructive. Rebecca's jaw clenched almost invisibly. They form intense emotional bonds with their units, clouding their tactical judgment. They risk entire operations for single lives. Their decisions are driven by feelings, not logic. They weep at military funerals. Can you fathom soldiers who cry? A crystalline accord representative, a being of living mineral, emitted a sound that might have been laughter. The delicate psyche of a warrior presents real complications, Keithvar emphatically declared, his hand sweeping expansively. Thus, the hegemony envisions a better purpose. What do you think? Here it begins, humanity's debut in the galactic community, Rebecca mused. Humans possess a unique aptitude for peaceful endeavors, the ambassador continued, his voice resonating. Your creativity is truly inspiring, capable of crafting boundless entertainment. Your pattern recognition skills are invaluable for research and data analysis. And some of our worlds desperately need tourist guides, cultural interpreters, or perhaps nurturing caregivers, pet caretakers for our young. Rebecca's mind reeled. Were they suggesting humanity become glorified pet sitters? She maintained a polite facade, hands clasped, while her mind raced, charting escape routes, assessing security, cataloging armed delegates, old instincts resurfacing. The crucial point, Keith persisted, is safeguarding humans from the psychological devastation of genuine conflict. We must shield you from triggers that might unleash your instabilities. Instabilities, Rebecca echoed, her tone even. Precisely. You grasp the concept. Keithvar seemed gratified. Humans simply lack the constitution for war. You are deficient in the necessary resilience. You feel too deeply, care too intensely, suffer too profoundly. Admirable traits in civilians, but crippling flaws in soldiers. Silence descended upon the chamber, broken only by the hum of life support. 26 alien species focused their diverse senses on the human delegation, awaiting her response. Rebecca rose deliberately, smoothing her uniform. Her voice, clear and unamplified, filled the space. Ambassador Keith, your concern for human psychological well-being is appreciated. It's admirable how the hegemony prioritizes safeguarding less resilient species. However, before accepting your generous proposal, perhaps there's a slight misunderstanding regarding human military history. Keith's multifaceted eyes glinted. Oh? And what might that be? You seem to believe humans haven't experienced true warfare, that we are somehow untested. After all, we've only been spacefaring for approximately 70 years, primarily dedicated to peaceful exploration and colonization. You've observed minor skirmishes, perhaps border disputes, but nothing resembling genuine military engagement. Rebecca paused thoughtfully. I can see how our relatively minor interstellar conflicts might lead to that conclusion. Precisely, so you understand why. But I am curious, Ambassador, Rebecca interrupted. Keith's mandibles clicked impatiently. Yes. Have you conducted comprehensive psychological evaluations of humans in combat, analyzed our neural patterns, assessed our emotional responses? Naturally, Keith replied. The hegemony prides itself on thoroughness in its research. Sources, including surveys and reports, and that information was carefully analyzed. But no, I didn't speak directly with any veterans who experienced the horrors of war firsthand. The heart-wrenching stories, the lingering trauma. That level of personal connection wasn't part of this study. Instead, the analysis focused on trends emerging from the aggregated data. Intelligence reports, war game simulations, and in-depth psychological profiles, along with extensive field studies. Rebecca's polite facade barely concealed the steel beneath. Ah, so no actual conversations with flesh-and-blood soldiers then? Direct interaction wasn't needed. Their meticulous data supposedly revealed all. The chamber fell deathly silent. The very air seemed to hold its breath. Ambassador Keithbar, Rebecca began, her tone deceptively gentle. You mentioned that humans display grief at military funerals. Indeed, Keithbar responded, a blatant display of emotional weakness. And we also forge unbreakable bonds with our comrades, prioritizing loyalty over cold, hard reason. Precisely. It's why your species is too emotionally vulnerable for the harsh realities of war. Keithbar's carapace puffed out with arrogant pride. You finally grasp the undeniable truth. Rebecca surveyed the assembled delegates, their varied sensory organs fixed upon her. Perhaps there's a different perspective to consider on these observed behaviors. Enlighten us. The ghost of a smile vanished. Experience. The word echoed, laden with unspoken weight. You see, Ambassador, humans grieve deeply at military funerals. We grieve because we've endured too many of them. Our bonds with comrades run deep because we understand how fleeting life can be on the battlefield. We make decisions with our hearts because we've learned that strict logic sometimes fails, costing lives. Keithbar's mandibles stilled. You seek insight into the human capacity for war, our supposed fitness for conflict? Rebecca's voice remained even, but it carried a resonance that made several delegates shift uneasily. Then allow me to contribute some data of my own, since our emotional stability concerns you so deeply. She retrieved a small, personalized memorial tablet from within her jacket, a common keepsake among human soldiers. You inquired if I could recall a family member lost in combat. Deathvar's many eyes focused on the device. Yes, I assumed that such a thing might prove difficult. Which generation would you like me to begin with? The question struck the chamber with the force of a physical blow, eliciting visible flinches from some of the delegates. Keithbar's response, when it came, lacked its earlier conviction. What do you mean, which generation? Rebecca activated the tablet, casting a soft blue holographic image above it. a sprawling family tree filled with hundreds upon hundreds of names, branching out like the roots of some ancient, gnarled behemoth. What I mean, Ambassador, is that your question presumes I could ever limit myself to just one. That's not how human families function. The silence that now filled the chamber was not one of observation, but of the ominous quiet before a storm. Again, I implore you, Ambassador Kethar of the Hegemony, you who deem humanity emotionally unfit for warfare, far too delicate for true battle, and excessively compassionate for the grim truths of galactic conflict. With a somber air, Rebecca lifted the radiant tablet, its azure light painting her face with spectral hues. "Which generation shall we unveil?" she inquired, her voice echoing softly. Above the device, a shimmering hologram bloomed, bathing the conference chamber in an ethereal blue glow. Names materialized like newborn stars, each connected by delicate lines, tracing the intricate tapestry of her lineage. The assembled delegates, their diverse sensory organs acutely focused, leaned forward, captivated and disturbed. "Let's begin with the recent," Rebecca murmured, her finger gliding along a luminous branch. "My brother, Danny, Marine Corps, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines, Helmand Province, Afghanistan, 2019. An IED obliterated his convoy while delivering vital medical aid." She tapped the hologram, conjuring Danny's service record, a young man in dress blues, his confident smile reflecting a belief in invincibility. Kethvar shifted uncomfortably. "I extend my condolences. However, one family member, my cousin Marcus," Rebecca continued, her voice unwavering. "Army Rangers, 75th Regiment, Syria, 2021. He perished shielding his squad's retreat during an ambush. Posthumous Silver Star." Another tap, another face, another dress uniform. "My nephew Tyler, Navy SEAL Team 6, Classified Operation, 2023. His remains returned in a sealed casket." The Zephyrian delegates' bioluminescent patterns pulsed with visible agitation. "Captain Thompson, while these losses are lamentable, surely you don't anticipate us believing—" "My sister-in-law, Amanda," Rebecca intoned, her voice steady, a practiced professional reciting a grim litany. "Army medic, 82nd Airborne. She died in a field hospital in Somalia, overrun by rebels. She sacrificed herself to evacuate the wounded." Her finger never faltered, relentlessly tracing the hologram, unearthing more names. "My Uncle Frank, Marines, Force Recon, Vietnam, 1971. He triggered a landmine while leading his squad." The hologram expanded, reaching back through decades, revealing countless names, countless faces in dress uniforms, countless flag-draped coffins. "My great-uncle Robert, Army Air Corps, 1944. His bomber vanished over Germany, leaving no trace. "My great-uncle James, Navy, Pacific Theater. His destroyer sank at Leyte Gulf. He endured 3 days in the shark-infested waters before succumbing." The Corfax ambassador's mandibles ceased their clicking. The crystalline delegate's chimes fell silent. "My great-great-grandfather William, Army, 32nd Division, France, 1918. Mustard gas slowly claimed him over 6 agonizing months after he returned home." Rebecca paused, raising her gaze to meet Kethvar's unsettling stare. "Do you perceive the pattern now, Ambassador? Captain Thompson?" The Hegemony representative spoke, his harmonic voice laced with unease. "While your family has clearly endured a disproportionate number of military casualties—" "Disproportionate?" Rebecca's eyebrow arched with sardonic disbelief. "Oh, Ambassador, this isn't extraordinary. This is merely Tuesday for a human family." He indicated the shimmering hologram, now displaying a sprawling genealogy, generations intertwined by fate. "My great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel, fought for the Union in the Civil War. perishing at Antietam. The name echoed with dread. A battle where over 23,000 men were lost in a single, agonizing day. The enormity of the number resonated through the chamber, a palpable force causing some delegates to visibly flinch. His brother Thomas fought for the Confederacy and met his end at Gettysburg, a mere 3 days before Samuel died at Antietam, brothers unknowingly killing each other's comrades. The chamber's atmospheric regulators seemed to intensify their hum, struggling to maintain equilibrium as alien anxiety pheromones and electromagnetic distress signals saturated the air. Tracing further back, my ancestor, Jonathan Thompson, served in the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, meeting his demise not from British fire at Valley Forge, but from starvation and disease in the brutal winter of 1777. He rests in a mass grave with 200 fellow soldiers. Rebecca's finger continued its journey through the holographic bloodlines, traversing centuries of bloodshed. His father, David Thompson, fought in King Philip's War in 1675, dying while defending a colonial settlement from a Wampanoag raid. His scalp became a trophy adorning a war chief's lodge. The Zephyrian delegates' bioluminescence pulsed erratically, signaling profound unease. "Captain, surely these past conflicts were minor, localized events." Rebecca glanced up, her professional composure momentarily faltering. "Ambassador, King Philip's War decimated 1 in 10 military-aged men in New England. The Civil War claimed 600,000 lives. World War I, 17 million. World War II, a staggering 70 million. These numbers crashed into the silence, like blows from a hammer. "But those were global wars," the Crystalline Accord representative interjected, his voice strained. "Surely not every human family." "Every single one," Rebecca stated, her tone devoid of warmth. "Ambassador, allow me to clarify human demographics. During World War II alone, 16 million Americans served out of a population of 130 million. That's 1 in 8. 1 in 8 humans wore a uniform." She tapped the hologram, conjuring new data streams, casualty lists, unit histories, combat summaries. The Soviet Union endured the loss of 27 million people in that same conflict. 27 million, the entire population of some galactic species. Cathbar's exoskeleton emitted subtle clicks, involuntary responses to mounting stress. But those were decades ago. Surely modern humans have been engaged in conflicts in Afghanistan for 2 decades, Iraq for 15, Syria for 8, Somalia intermittently for 30 years, and in countless other locations you likely haven't heard of. Rebecca rose and approached the chamber's central display. With a gesture, she connected her tablet to the room's holographic projectors. The chamber transformed into an immersive panorama of data, casualty reports, unit histories, battle maps, memorial walls overflowing with names. "These records," she explained, her voice tinged with gravity as she indicated the maelstrom of data enveloping them, "originate solely from the U.S. military. Painstakingly compiled over 2.5 centuries, they chronicle every clash, each sprawling campaign, and the heartbreaking stories of countless soldiers who vanished, never to return." Back in the embassy, wraiths of light surrounded the envoy's holographic echoes of young soldiers, men and women from conflicts spanning ages. "But your kind lacks a warrior's gifts," Cathvar murmured, his voice a fragile thread. "No natural weapons, no hardened armor, no overwhelming strength." "True," Rebecca conceded, her gaze unwavering. "We're fragile, slow, vulnerable. We lack wings, gills, night vision, the electric sense." She drifted through the memorial, faces flickering like ghostly flames. "What we possess, Ambassador, is far more perilous." She paused before a young Marine's image, barely a man, lost in a nameless battle, a forgotten war. We refuse to let them truly die. The chamber's climate control strained, overwhelmed by the fear rippling through 27 alien species. Every human death in battle echoes in the hearts of loved ones, etched with the manner of their passing, the identity of their killer. We chronicle every detail, raise monuments, instill the tales of ancient battles in our children. Turning, a chilling resolve hardened her features. We don't simply glorify victory. We remember every failure, every rout, every slaughter, every unprepared moment, every disadvantage. And we ensure it never repeats itself in the same form. The holographic figures pulsed, a three-dimensional mosaic of strife stretching back through our entire history. You question our tears at military burials? Her voice, sharp and clear, sliced through the memorial's electronic hum. It is not weakness. It is absolute knowledge of the flag-draped coffin's significance. A life sacrificed to refine our art of war. She swept her hand across the faces. Each taught us something vital. How to breach defenses, evade ambushes, direct fire, mend mortal wounds, fight on while bleeding, in jungles, cities, deserts, fields of rice. The memorial dimmed, yet the faces lingered, imprinted on alien eyes like specters. We forge bonds within our units, for we know that in the storm of battle, those bonds become our lifeline. We trust our instincts, for we have learned that cold logic often leads to a colder death. Rebecca returned to her seat, the holographic family tree casting a gentle glow. And we refuse to surrender, because surrender means, imagine all those lives vanished, uselessly. An oppressive silence descended, suffocating the chamber. The very air seemed to pause, holding its breath. Ketvar's voice finally broke the stillness, strained and incredulous. How many humans perished in war throughout your history? Rebecca consulted her datapad, its algorithms frantically sifting through incomplete records. An exact figure is impossible. Countless graves are unmarked, lost to time. She paused, watching the scrolling numbers. A conservative estimate, 100 million souls, and that only accounts for those we know about. The number resonated, a poison seeping into the assembly's air. 100 million? A crystalline accord delegate breathed, his voice hushed. That surpasses the total population of entire civilizations. Indeed, Rebecca replied softly, yet firmly. Lifting her gaze, she met the eyes of each delegate. Tell me, Ambassador Keithvar of the Hegemony, you who deem humans too fragile, too gentle for war's brutal reality. The holographic family tree above her datapad pulsed, names like distant stars in the dimness. Which generation shall I continue with, Ambassador? Keithvar's crystalline skin shifted in hue as he grappled with the sheer magnitude of human sacrifice. His fingers tapped restlessly against the table, a soft, agitated rhythm echoing through the chamber. Unease rippled through the other representatives. The Zephian's feathers lay flat against her skull, while the Thrakari's many eyes widened in stark stress. Rebecca remained still, radiating an aura of composure, yet an almost tangible weight filled the room. After an unbearable silence, Keithvar cleared his throat, the sound like grinding crystal, and leaned forward. His voice retained its earlier condescension, though a tremor betrayed his facade. Representative, though I acknowledge the loss your family has suffered, I must address a critical point. Humans have only been a part of galactic society for mere decades. Your species only achieved faster-than-light travel a single generation ago. Previously, your entire existence was tethered to a solitary star system. With a sweeping motion of his long arm, he indicated the holographic Earth shimmering before them. Isolated on the galaxy's edge, a pale blue speck in a forgotten spiral arm. How much real war could humanity truly know? The Vietnamese and Afghan conflicts you mention seem more like skirmishes over territory. Perhaps our wars are simply what you call squabbles over resources. Heads nodded in agreement. Alien visages mirrored a shared sense of relief. The hegemony's entire military strategy rested on the idea that dangerous species announced themselves with interstellar empires and wars that reshaped galaxies. A species confined to its solar system was no threat. The human representative tilted her head. For the first time, a ghost of amusement danced in her eyes, a subtle curve of the lips, a narrowing gaze. It unsettled several council members. "Ambassador Katvar," she said, her voice still calm, "you're right about our relatively brief galactic history, but you don't know what we did before we reached the stars." A silence hung heavy. The chamber hummed, life support systems murmuring, the carefully balanced light seeming to dim as her words sank in. "When I listed my family's war dead, I spoke only of the last century and a half. That's one of our more peaceful eras, what we call modern history. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. These are just the latest chapters in a story of human conflict stretching back millennia." The Zephyrian delegate, her people achieving spaceflight through enlightenment, not technology, finally spoke. Her voice, usually melodic, now held a sharp edge. "Representative, these world wars, surely that is hyperbole. Could any species endure planetary-scale wars and ever hope to reach the technological heights needed for journeys between the stars? Travel." Reaching beside her, the human ambassador retrieved a datapad, antiquated by galactic standards, yet still functional. With a simple gesture, she brought the device to life, projecting holographic displays above the council table. The images, stark black and white photographs, seemed to drain the room of its color, revealing scenes of profound devastation. These are historical records from World War II, a conflict spanning from 1939 to 1945 by our reckoning. 61 nations became embroiled, representing roughly 75% of Earth's population. Over 21 million soldiers perished. The slaughter of civilians, non-combatants slain by the violence, reached between 50 and 80 million, depending on the historical accounts. The displays morphed into maps illustrating the global scale of the war. Red markers blazed on every continent, each representing a deadly battle site, creating the impression of entire land masses engulfed in flames. The Thrakari ambassador, his multiple eyes working in unison, processed the harrowing imagery, his alien mind struggling to comprehend the scope of the destruction. 80 million civilian deaths, he murmured, his voice resonating with subsonic distress. That surpasses the population of many galactic civilizations. The human representative nodded somberly. World War II wasn't an aberration in our history. It was merely the most extensive instance of global warfare before our mastery of nuclear weapons. World War I, only 21 years prior, resulted in around 17 million deaths, both military and civilian. The American Civil War, confined to a single nation, claimed over 600,000 lives. The Napoleonic Wars in Europe, between 3 and 6 million, and the Mongol conquests of the 13th century potentially reduced Earth's entire population by as much as 11%. A gesture shifted the holograms to a timeline stretching through the ages. Each major conflict was marked with casualty figures, creating a pattern that was both mesmerizing and utterly sickening. The red markers of death intensified as the timeline advanced, yet even the earliest conflicts showed casualty numbers dwarfing the military losses of most other species. The 30 Years' War in 17th century Europe caused about 8 million deaths, almost 25% of the population in the war zones. The An Lushan Rebellion in 8th century China led to an estimated 36 million deaths. The Western Roman Empire didn't just collapse, it crumbled amidst brutal, endless wars. wars that irrevocably reshaped the very people and cultures of Europe. Keithbar's normally bright face now swirled with deep purple, a hue of utter bewilderment. But I don't understand. How could any civilization possibly survive that kind of destruction? Such profound losses, and yet technological advancement persisted. A purely mathematical analysis indicates humanity should have eradicated itself ages ago. The human ambassador's face betrayed nothing, but a subtle glint in her eyes hinted at a deeper revelation. "Ambassador," she began, "you view warfare through the lens of a civilization that achieved interstellar travel through peaceful innovation. Most galactic societies mastered technology, then encountered others, resolving disputes through diplomacy and cooperation. Humanity devised technology specifically to extinguish itself with greater and greater ease." An oppressive silence descended, broken only by the hum of life support systems. Her statement resonated through the assembly, akin to a stone plummeting into a serene pond. The hegemony's entire military doctrine rested on the belief that sophisticated civilizations were inherently peaceful, having learned to resolve conflicts through advanced technology and enlightened debate. Each significant human technological breakthrough holds military potential, she pressed on. Metallurgy yielded superior weapons. Chemical reactions gave us explosives. We split the atom and immediately unleashed it on cities. Space beckoned as a means to deliver nuclear weapons across continents. Our computer network sprang from military communication systems built to withstand atomic annihilation. The Corvan delegate, whose people gained galactic prominence for their exceptional analytic prowess, had been diligently scouring his civilization's archives. His bioluminescent markings pulsed furiously as he processed data at astonishing speeds, contrasting human history with galactic military records. When he finally spoke, his voice was devoid of emotion, a sign of peak cognitive function. "I have compared human historical war casualties to comprehensive galactic war statistics over the past 10,000 years. The results are staggering." Holographic projections bloomed around him, showcasing comparisons illustrating the magnitude of human conflict. Charts, population curves, and casualty forecasts filled the space above the council table, a 3D visualization of carnage that felt almost alive with destructive force. In 2,000 years of recorded galactic history, total military deaths from all interstellar conflicts amount to about 47 million. These accounts encompass the harrowing Hyggemani-Zaparian conflicts, the agonizing Thrakari struggle for power, the devastating rift tearing apart the inner worlds, and each forgotten skirmish etched in the annals. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle, their implications sink in. Across 2 centuries of humankind's tumultuous journey. Before their leap to the stars, the countless lives extinguished by their own warfare on their solitary world numbered over a staggering 180 million souls. Then, an unnerving stillness descended, absolute. Even the environmental controls seemed to hush, as if the very chamber shared in a profound, held breath. The stark numbers were irrefutable. Humanity had inflicted more casualties upon its own kind across 2 centuries of planetary strife than the entire galaxy had witnessed in 2 millennia of its vast interstellar conflicts. The Zephyrian delegate's vibrant feathered crest began to shed, a raw, involuntary testament to the deep psychological trauma experienced by her species. "This is impossible. No species could endure such devastation and retain any semblance of societal order. The sheer psychological toll alone would cripple any drive for technological progress." The human representative's expression softened subtly, and for a fleeting moment, the other council members perceived a flicker of what might have been profound pride beneath her practiced diplomatic facade. "You are absolutely correct that such losses would shatter most species. Humanity's evolution, however, is unique. We did not merely learn the art of war, we mastered it while simultaneously nurturing intricate civilizations, pushing the boundaries of technology, and fostering breathtaking art, literature, and profound philosophies. We learned to isolate violence as a necessary, albeit brutal, instrument, all while relentlessly pursuing the flourishing of our culture. With a graceful gesture, the holographic projections transformed, showcasing humanity's artistic triumphs alongside the grim chronicle of its wars. The timeline revealed a species that had simultaneously forged ever more sophisticated means of destruction and birthed masterpieces of art, literature, and scientific breakthroughs that rivaled the most advanced creations across the galaxy. The very century that birthed the horrors of World War I and World War II also unlocked the secrets of quantum mechanics, yielded life-saving antibiotics, propelled us into powered flight, gave us electronic computers, and harnessed the power of the atom. The generation that endured the crucible of Vietnam also achieved the monumental feat of landing humans on our moon. The protracted conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq unfolded concurrently with the dawn of interconnected global communication networks and the nascent whispers of interstellar voyaging. Keithbar's voice, once laced with dismissal, now echoed with an unmistakable undertone of dread. Are you suggesting your species views warfare as a parallel evolutionary path to civilization itself? Not parallel, the human representative gently countered, but fundamentally integrated. Human civilization did not emerge in spite of our inherent capacity for violence. It was forged by it. The relentless drive of competition, the constant friction of conflict, and the ever-present specter of warfare propelled our innovation, shaped our social structures, and catalyzed our technological leaps. We did not conquer our violent nature to reach for the stars. We learned to channel it. The Corvin delegates' bioluminescent markings pulsed with an urgent pattern, signaling their highest state of alarm. The ramifications for galactic security are, without question, immense. If we, with all our ingenuity, channel the very same creative brilliance into wars between the stars as we did into the wars of Earth. His voice trailed off, leaving the unspoken ending to fester, a species who dedicated themselves to mass destruction. For ages, humanity honed the craft of combat while pushing their technology and nurturing intricate societies, a convergence posing a threat unlike any seen before. The human stood, a slow, liquid grace, now less diplomatic, more like a stalking predator. Esteemed Council, beings of all types, I believe a critical misjudgment clouds our understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. She approached the holographic display, her presence amplifying to command the chamber, despite her size. When Ambassador Keithvar deemed humans too emotionally delicate for armed service, he mistook our dedication to diplomacy for a lack of martial spirit. This is understandable, but deeply flawed. The display morphed, revealing Earth, a fragile, breathtaking blue sphere suspended in the void. Humans achieved peace through utter depletion. We warred upon ourselves with such ferocity, such inventiveness, such catastrophic effect, that we birthed weapons that could obliterate our entire world. Nuclear arms didn't usher in an era of enlightenment. They brought the stark realization that we had become too lethal, even for ourselves. A tremor of understanding shook the assembly. The galaxy's prior assumption that humanity's dedication to peace stemmed from inherent pacifism shattered. Humanity hadn't transcended violence. They had mastered it to a degree that made it too perilous to practice on their own soil. The human retreated, her face returning to its calm, diplomatic mask. The fallen family members I mentioned, the lives lost in conflict, they weren't anomalies or unfortunate exceptions. They represented a species whose entire evolution has been dedicated to refining the art of war, surpassing anything your civilizations can fathom. As the session concluded, council members found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about the quiet, diplomatic newcomers. The humans hadn't sent their soldiers to represent them. They sent their diplomats. And if those diplomats carried family histories painted with the crimson hues of war, what did that suggest about those who remained behind? The silence that followed hung thick, a tangible weight of unspoken implications. Ambassador Keithvar's crystalline face cycled through the entire spectrum of his species' emotional display, settling on a deep amber that signified profound unease. A tremor now betrayed Guthvar's long fingers, once drumming with haughty assurance as they rested on the council table. The hegemony's war strategy, honed over eons of expansion, rested on the idea that advanced species surpassed mass war. Humanity's very existence shattered that idea. Guthvar cleared his throat, his tone lacking any force. A note of pleading replaced his former condescension. Representative, our initial assessment of human capabilities may have been flawed. The human delegate remained seated, her composure undisturbed, yet something shifted about her. Other delegates struggled to put their fingers on it, but her very presence occupied more space than seemed possible. I thank you for your acknowledgement, Ambassador, she answered, her voice even and controlled. However, a crucial point has been overlooked. My family's military history was provided only as answer to your query. It was not intended to demonstrate human aggression or present a threat. She paused, her words hanging heavy in the air. The assumption that human emotional capacity disqualifies us for military action reveals a basic error. We don't wage war in spite of our emotions. We wage war because of them. Our military strength stems from our capability to convert complex emotions into organized violence while preserving the social order to facilitate sustained campaigns. The Zephyrian delegate's flattened crest signified acute distress as she blurted out a panicked question. Representative, do you imply human strategy is born from emotional chaos instead of tactical planning? The human representative's expression softened, showing amusement behind her diplomat facade. I suggest human planning integrates emotional motivation with strategic purpose. The galactic consensus seems to view emotions as opposite of logic. We utilize them as parallel tools. The Corvin delegate's bioluminescent patches pulsed intensely as he processed the new data relative to his race's limited emotions. This revelation about military science suggests that human combat prowess surges with emotional investment, unlike other species who falter under duress. Precisely, the human delegate affirmed. Galactic species often diminish as conflicts intensify, but humans become more formidable. History's deadliest wars sparked our greatest military ingenuity. Her words sent shockwaves through the assembly. While other species crumbled under prolonged psychological stress, humans harnessed it to fuel innovation and devastating power. Keithvar's voice wavered with an emotion his species rarely exhibited. Representative, I formally recant my prior assessment of human military suitability. The hegemony's evaluation protocols require urgent reassessment. Ambassador, your retraction is noted. However, I must address a broader concern emerging within this chamber, she continued. Some of you seem to be re-evaluating humanity's threat based on our casualty rates and innovation, which reveals another profound misunderstanding. Rising with a predatory grace that belied her earlier diplomacy, she declared, "Humans don't wage war for the thrill of violence or inherent aggression. We fight to protect what we love." Those conflicts were born from a single, powerful drive, safeguarding human communities and values. Silence descended, broken only by the hum of life support. Moving to the central display, she dominated the vast space despite her slight frame. The galaxy's peace isn't maintained by firepower, but by mutual benefit and reason. Most species achieved interstellar travel by transcending their violent tendencies. Humans did it by perfecting ours until they became too dangerous to unleash. The Zephyrian delegate's melodic voice turned brittle with anxiety. Are you implying humanity threatens galactic stability? I'm suggesting humanity offers a different kind of stability, she countered. Galactic species maintain peace because war is wasteful. Humans maintain peace because we are too skilled at war to risk igniting it. There's a profound chasm separating a fragile peace born of helplessness and a resolute peace forged from unwavering strength. Ambassador Keithvar's alien face now shimmered with a hue utterly unknown to human eyes. His usual emotional range manifested as a profound, light-absorbing Black A representative from the Hegemony Council. I extend a formal invitation for humanity's participation in our military advisory programs. Before the human envoy could answer, the Thrakari ambassadors, their voices a chilling chorus, declared, "The Thrakari Confederation also seeks human military advisors. Our ongoing border conflicts would greatly benefit from fresh strategic insights." The Corvan delegate, bioluminescent patches pulsing urgently as he contacted his homeworld, announced, "The Corvan Analysis Corps stands ready to offer immediate consultation contracts for human strategic specialists." Within moments, the chamber exploded with competing offers and requests, each species vying for access to human military expertise. The transformation was staggering. Barely an hour before, these same delegates had questioned humanity's emotional stability for non-combat roles. The human representative raised a hand, and the chamber fell silent with unnatural speed. The gesture radiated an authority that eclipsed rank or position. "Esteemed delegates, I appreciate these offers," she began, "but I believe another misinterpretation is taking root. When I detailed human military history and capabilities, I wasn't submitting a proposal for mercenary service or strategic consultation. I was illustrating why your initial assessment of human nature was flawed." She resumed her seat, her stance a blend of diplomatic grace and restrained menace. "Humans do not hire ourselves out as military advisors. We don't export our strategies or innovations. We protect human interests and human communities, employing methods honed through millennia of relentless warfare." A new silence gripped the chamber, not of confusion, but of dawning comprehension. They had fundamentally misjudged the threat. "The family members I mentioned," she continued, "did not fall to aliens or galactic perils. They died fighting other humans. Every innovation, every strategy, every technology we possess has been tested against minds and fighters like our own." She paused, letting the chilling truth sink in. If humanity had spent millennia warring against equals, their military doctrines had been forged in a crucible of unimaginable intensity. When humanity finally encountered galactic civilization, we never needed lessons in interstellar warfare. Our history was a brutal masterclass in fighting equally clever, inventive, and driven adversaries. The human ambassador resumed her seat, her voice resonating. "Esteemed delegates, I'll conclude by revisiting Ambassador Keithvar's initial query. Are humans emotionally stable enough for galactic military service?" Her hands rested calmly, the neutral diplomatic facade returning. "The truth is, no. Not in the way most of you define stability. Pressure doesn't calm us. Stress doesn't make us rational. Threats don't make us diplomatic. They sharpen our focus, spark our ingenuity, and amplify our lethality." The silence was palpable as each species recalibrated their perception of humanity. A fledgling member now revealed as a potential apex threat, the ambassador continued. "But emotional stability isn't the core of military effectiveness. Loyalty, skill, and disciplined teamwork within a chain of command are far more critical. Humans thrive in these areas, especially when defending something precious." Rising, She gathered her belongings with a deliberate efficiency that conveyed resolution. The official record will reflect our willingness to serve alongside you, under conditions. We will defend our interests, our people, our values. We will honor our treaties and alliances, but we will not surrender our strategic autonomy to alien command. Pausing at the exit, she turned back to address the stunned assembly one last time. Ambassador Ketva, when you inquired about a fallen family member, assuming military service was uncommon, allow me to clarify. My family's story isn't unique. It's typical. Most human families share similar experiences, similar losses, and similar traditions of service. The door whispered shut, leaving the delegates to grapple with the implications. If her family's history was commonplace, humanity's diplomatic core was drawn from a wellspring of strategic acumen and ingrained military mindset. The meeting concluded with a profound shift in understanding, a revelation that would reshape the galaxy's approach to humanity forever, revealing a quiet species that was anything but. Born of calm citizens absorbing cosmic connections, they were the progeny of fierce fighters who embraced dialogue as a potent substitute for battle. Mere moments after the gathering ended, groundbreaking celestial statutes surged from urgent legislative chambers spanning numerous worlds. Foremost among them was a concise yet powerful decree, destined to forever alter the shape of galactic interactions. Never underestimate the reserved; they may possess power you cannot imagine.